Vargas was a teenager when he left home to fight against the Lunar occupation. Being a heavy-set individual, he was quickly elevated to heavy infantry, although his tracking and survival skills are also made him an invaluable scout. He's been at war and away from home for nearly 10 years, with all but one of his units being devastated by lunar musicians during the liberation of Pavis. It is time to go home. The occupation is over. It's time to go home. Your unit of Sartarite rebels have held the line and fought for years against the expansive occupation of the deluded empire. More recently, allied to the Praxian nomads, retake Pavis from the lunar tyranny. Alone, after your unit fell to a barrage of magic and bronze from the lunar sorcerers and heavy infantry. With the immediacy of war momentarily silenced and Argrath eyeing the Flame of Sartar, it's your time to go home to Sartar. With all that out of the way, let's begin the game of Soul Survivor. With the liberation of Pavis done, the warlord Argrath now in power, the Lunars have fled. The occupation is over. The Empire in Cornflu have left on routes unknown without support from any of their garrisons of Zola Fell. Argrath's supporters are now keeping law in the valley, protecting the many farmers and families that settled due to the lunar tyranny. Pavis might be free, but it came to a great cost of lives, including most of the unit. You are short of silver to get through another week. You've been dreaming of home, the rolling hills, the vales, the mountains of Sartar. Home-cooked food in a free Sartar will taste all the sweeter. Today you've been evicted from your accommodations. It was grubby at best, but you can't afford it anymore. Your war booty is all but run out. So, it is time to get some work. Your belly doesn't fill itself. Before long, you'd be selling your bison or eating it if you had one. There's a few openings for some caravan guards traveling to Moonbroth, an oasis on the northern plains of Prax, a harsh scrubland inhabited by the nomad tribes, as well as being contested ground. It is probably a week or two away from the Pavis Road. At a good pace, even with 5 wagons for a month's pay and no expenses, food provided. That's a walk in a park job if I've ever seen one. Silver for old ropes. There should be other caravans you can take up from there, either working them or paying for your passage to Sartar back home. Dumbov, the trader, intends to leave first thing in the morning. Do you settle down with the caravan for the night? Go cruising and drinking with the last of your silver? Visit your temple for some blessings for your journey? We decide to visit the temple. You may show your respect at the temple if you succeed at a meditate or worship deity roll to gain 1 rune point back if they are in need of any. I rolled my dice and I needed a 64 for Ordela, and I actually rolled 64 exactly. Wow, what's the chances? After worshipping to Ordela, I decide to go carousing for the night. Enjoying your night, it's not long before you realize that you've consumed far more ales than you should have. Roll under your constitution times 5. Oh no, I rolled my constitution and I got 11 under 80. I succeeded in my carousing roll. You fell asleep under the chuck wagon, but at least you haven't missed your slot. Traveling along the Pavis Road has been a hot, but happily uneventful day of riding. Dumov's wagon moves off south of the established road for about a mile before the camp is set up, and Farnan starts cooking up a meal for the night. You've been thankful for the plentiful water during the day. You and the other 5 guards are in good spirits, as Farnan serves up a strong bison stew with oats, barley, and bread. This is probably the best you've eaten in weeks. Afterwards, Farnan gives you each a bowl of sweet, poached quincy. After the meal, there are plenty of time around the campfire. You've been here plenty of times before. This is the rest you get before the watch turn starts for the night watches. This outfit seems to have it pretty well figured out if they're eating this well on such short duties. Do you introduce yourself to the other guards, or do you keep yourself and listen on to the others? I choose to introduce myself to the other guards. Getting to know the other guards, you learn that the three of them are brothers from the Kansina tribe, Jeb, Caleb, and Banthor, all looking for wealth and fame. The other two are from Lokhari's tribes, Defin and Ardzel. They were heavy infantry, but now they're trying to get back home, similar to you. You've been given a watch slot that lets you get a good amount of sleep, and made sure you're the first up for breakfast, so you're in great mood. Unfortunately, the last person on guard has let the campfire go out. Relight the fire? Do you take a walk around the wagon and check the perimeter of the camp? I choose to walk around the wagon just to make sure everything's all right. The game calls for a scan roll. I roll an 18 under 82. It is a success. Let's see what happens next. You notice one of the ropes that tie the oxen has come free. You tie it back securely and then recount the oxen. None are missing. The morning comes soon enough, and Farnan has made a breakfast of bacon strips, scrambled eggs, bread, and pork lard. He buried a cask of water the night before, so you have chilled water to wash it down. Could the food get any better? You're feeling good for the day ahead, and even though your belly was rumbling for most part of the previous night. The day starts slightly later, and the caravan makes a good distance even though you are away from the Pavis road on a track which you are assured is an old trade route used to trade with the nomads when the Empire taxed the Pavis roads. Damov makes it clear that he has business with a Waha Khan on the first leg of this journey. In the late afternoon, you're approaching the place where the wagons will camp, but there is something that is playing on your mind. In the distance to the north of the route you'll be taking tomorrow, you see a large outcrops of rocks. Roll your battle skill, which I rolled it, and I failed. I actually rolled a 72, first fail so far. You're not going anywhere near there, and it's so far north from your route that you would see any threat before it gets too close. The guards banter after the meal, and the campfire chat is playful tonight. So they all vote to playing games to figure the watch's turns. Banthor has set up a bone dice and rolls one. Roll 1d6 for your watch turn. Record the results of this roll. 1 to 2, you get a good sleep and breakfast as you check the ox ties are good and secure. 3 to 4, you get a broken sleep. Oh no. And finally, 5 to 6, you get a good sleep and you're first for breakfast, grabbing double helpings. I rolled a 2 on the d6, so let's see what happens in the next part. I rolled, and I got the first shift, so we are going to roll now a listen and a scan. So hold on when I roll that. It appears I have succeeded on both checks, rolling a 12 and a 62 under the acquired numbers. You notice a group of 12 zebra-mounted lunar soldiers as they are right on top of your camp. 5 are wielding composite bows at the ready. Given you've noticed them at this point, you're able to raise the alarm. You won't give the guards much advantage, if any, but it will give them away. Do you raise the alarm? Drop your weapons and raise your hands and surrender. I think I'm going to choose to raise the alarm. No way I'm going to let us get caught by Lunars after going through all this trouble to get here. Raising the alarm, the caravan rouses, and the guards shout profanities as they can see more mounted lunar soldiers surrounding them. Banthor has his copus at the ready, but drops it when ordered by the officer. The lunar officer explains that they aren't there for anything but to trade. Dumov explains that trade at sword point is no more than robbery. They have an open discussion about wanting to go home to their village back in the Empire without causing any trouble, but they are in need of food and water. They have gold and will reimburse Dumov handsomely for what they must take from the caravan. They can't drink gold much, so the distaste of the soldiers. Dumov negotiates and comes to agreement. They will take 1 wagon and 2 oxen, a third of the water and half the food. Once the trade is made, they leave and head directly in the direction of the rock outcrop you'd seen in the evening before. All the guards stand watch for the rest of the night, with only one asleep for an hour or 2. Banthor has told Dumoff they need to get moving before dawn. Fornan is taking stock of what's left in the chuck wagon and is muttering profanities. Stand watch with the rest of the guards. Talk to Dumoff and ask him what happened. I think we're going to talk to Dumoff. I don't see the point in standing watch with the rest of the guards. Seems like everybody's on. Dumoff assures you that the trade was good, and you'll have food and water within days, so there's no shortage, and there will be no bloodshed. All the Lunars wanted was resources to travel back home without raising any trouble. They are as much done with the occupation as anyone else. Day 3. After a tiring night, the caravan moves out. The breakfast still consisted of egg and some strips of bacon with an extra bread and pork lard this morning. Bonan says that he managed to hide the best stuff, and he gave them a sack of unripened quincy to boot. Then proceeds to spout profanities about the Red Goddess's parentage. What a great guy. Throughout the day, you are all on the lookout for a potential trouble. Roll 4 scan rolls. Any fumbles will raise a false alarm and much mockery from the rest of the group. Oh no. Well, here we go. Funny enough, it didn't fail a single one. The day has gone as well as it could have in the caravan making camp. Farnan clangs his pans and says the meal tonight will be the best yet. Fried vegetables, stone-fried pies and steak with a blood-thickened strong gravy, followed by hard flatbread dipped in spicy pear and quincy sauce, with 1 cup of wine each. He wasn't wrong about being the best trail cook in the Sun County. After the evening's meal, Dumoff tells you all that tomorrow you will travel down one of the dry tributaries that lead into the canyon in the distance. This will be difficult and slow going, but it is a safe route to the meeting with the Wahak Khan, whose warriors will join the caravan for the journey to their camp, and then onto the Dwarves' Knoll. The guards decide they will gamble for the early watch. You don't have much of a choice regarding this. Roll gamble skill with a bonus die roll beginning roll. Success gets you the first watch. Nice. Failure and you get one of the middle watches. Not really your favorite because it means broken sleep. And with a 94, I failed the gambling roll, so looks like I get the middle watch. Well, I'm sure nothing bad will happen. During your watch, you are sure you hear distant sounds of battle, and in the morning you smell a quick whiff of burning. If you ask anyone else if they heard anything during the night, they state they were either asleep or suffering with an upset stomach, and their watch was uneventful. Asking if they can smell anything, they joke that Farnham must have burned the bacon. Another uneventful day, and mid-afternoon you prepare the travel down the tributary into the dry canyon. Each of their riders fill their water skin and get wraps of dry food, as there will be nowhere to stop as you descend along the trail, and it's very narrow. Roll ride twice. Fumble, and you fall off and take 1d6 damage to a random location. You can heal this between times. Roll scan 3 times. If you get a critical, we're going to get a different result. Well, we didn't fumble the ride roll, but on the 3 scans, we got 2 successes and a fumble, but all it asks for is a critical, so we're going to go to the other results since we did not get it. As you reach the bottom, you find yourself in an area where once ancient raging river has carved out a massive circular hollow with a high tower at its center. The main canyon reaches north to south, and you are chosen along with Jeb to scout the northern route, the direction that the caravan will be traveling tomorrow. For an hour, while the supper is prepared, Banthor and Caleb scout the southern route. After 20 minutes of riding north, you've seen plenty of side passages to the canyon, obviously worn from ancient waters, and now sandblasting over time. An acrid smell hangs in the air, as up ahead you see the unmistakable sight of a crucifixion. The Lunar officers that led the raid on your caravan earlier in your journey. You assume the Praxian nomads have no love of the Empire. They have also disemboweled the men. The wagon and one broken ox carcass lay smashed on the floor of the canyon. It looks like the wagon was still loaded with the water and food, which it went over the top of the canyon wall, and if he was driving at the time, how there was enough left of him to attach the cross is a miracle in itself. Search the area, take off back to the caravan, and report your findings. I think we're going to actually search the area. That way we have more information to pass off to the leader of the caravan. It doesn't take much to find the pile of smoking brew bodies. There must have been at least 6 or 7 in the pile. Roll Homeland Prax. I actually failed with an 81/26, so let's see what happens now. It comes to mind that brew pyres are something common to Stormbowl Chaos raids. They kill the brew and raiding parties or nest and set up fires on the remains. Time to get back to the caravan. None of this looks particularly good. Go to 129. Or investigate the Lunar soldiers' remains. I think we'll do that. We'll pause for a moment and take a look. Yes, we succeeded with a 31. Let's see what he has on him. His abdomen has been opened up, and his innards have been burned at his feet. A blood trail leads from the remains of the small fire and reduced to nothing after 25 meters. Oh, well, didn't find any items, just more entrails. Oh no. Reporting back to your findings, said Dumoff. Banthor looks a little concerned. He explains that in his foray south had found a huge rock slide that had cut off that direction, but he couldn't make out how long ago it had happened. There were bison tracks that looked pretty fresh though. After the reports are given, Dumoff explains that the Khan warriors regularly clear out the canyon of threats, so that trade can flow as usual. Nomads are no friends of the Lunars, but he does look a little uncomfortable. The meal is good this night, if a little somber. Given that you'll be in the Nomads' camp in a day or two, there's plenty of meat in the stew. The watch is taken in pairs tonight. Let's roll for game to see if we get the one we want. And we actually succeeded with a 29/32. That would be great. You've got the first or last slot. Roll a d4. And on a d4 I rolled its third last watch with Deathen. Record your results. Banthor is skipping this night, but you know he likes to get up and wander around spot checking the camp at night. Roll 1d6. 1 through 2 first, 3 through 4 second, 5 through 6 third. If the result matches what I rolled, then we get the result. And it's a 6, so that means it matches the third watch. What's going to happen? Now we have to roll a listen roll, and if we succeed, we're going to get a good result. If we fail, I feel like that's going to be bad. And the result is a 31, which is a success because our listen roll is 78. Perfect. You hear grunts and the sound of loosed arrows from the darkness and have time to dive under a wagon. You shout to the other guards on watch to take cover so he can sound the signal horn. The canyon walls cast deep shadows, and the event moonlight cannot penetrate. Oh no, we're under attack. It's a bit too late for the other gods, as he falls to his knees with 3 arrows lodged deep in his chest. He's out of reach, so you can't get to him without exposing yourself to the rain of arrows and sling stones now falling onto the camp. It's too dark to see any of the assailants as screams start throughout the wagons. Shouts of pain and anger, orders bark, and silenced. Continue to hide. Run to the body of the fallen guard to grab the signal horn so you can sound it, although it does seem a little late as they're pretty certain the entire camp is already alerted. If you have a shield, you can hold it over your head to avoid a lot of these sling stones. You won't be able to do this stealthily as he is out in the open. Finally, regroup with the remaining gods. Note that if you have a shield, you can hold it above your head to avoid the sling stones. Let's think about this. Roll Move quietly to get yourself back to the campfire, as arrows and sling stones are raining down. Running from wagon to wagon for cover, these arrows seem to be coming from all angles. And we have a success. 25 under 73%. So we quietly move between these wagons. Hopefully we didn't catch too much interest. The other guards have been killed in their beds. Banthor is missing. Your best chance of survival here is probably getting a hiding place under one of the wagons. Roll or move quietly and hide. If you succeed on either of them, I get one result, and if you fail on both or fumble on either of them, I'm going to get a worse result. So let's see what we get. Funny enough, I got a 23 and a 33, so that is success on both hide and move quietly. So I got a good result. You hide under a nearby wagon close to the wall of the canyon. Hoofed assailants stride by your hiding place. Barks and grunts as the people of your caravan are gathered alive or dead. The cries of pain and pleas of mercy and ransom are in the air. You hide under the nearby wagon close to the wall of the canyon. Hoofed assailants stride by your hiding place. Barks and grunts as the people of your caravan are gathered alive or dead. The cries of pain and pleas of mercy and ransom are in the air as the walking wounded and survivors are tied and fettered and rope trained neck to neck. Then march past your wagon, whipped to quiet their pleas and tears. The dead, or what remains of them, are forcibly dragged away by the survivors and the smaller brood. As you continue to hide until things go quiet, you've not been able to make out what direction they went. Things have gone quiet. You've waited a little longer, so maybe it's time to break out from your hiding place and check to see if the coast is clear. Breaking out of your hiding place, the brew have left chaos. Several animals are dead, and the contents wagons are spilled out. No human body remains. The water barrels are smashed and the fruit strewn around the chuck wagon. Some tracks lead east and some go north. I begin to search the wagons for anything that might be useful on what I'm about to do, and I succeed with the 58, so let's see what we find. We find 20 meters of length of fine rope, some pouches of salt, preserved healing herbs, good for 4 doses of healing, 6 unspoiled but bruised pears, 2 liters of water in fine water skins, along with 3 fine nomad-made saddles. In Domov's wagon there are a lockbox which, if broken, opens, holds 40 wheels, 30 silver lunars. There is also a small pouch holding a ring inside with a light matrix. The rest of the goods have been spoiled by the brew. We do indeed break the lockbox and bring that equipment with us. We're going to note that, and then we'll continue. You are at the base of the canyon. You can head north or east as you remember the report of Banthor gave to Dumov about the rock slide to the south. Given how slowly you were traveling with the wagon down the steep tributary in the east, you reckon you could make that easy by end of the day. But Dumov was supposed to be meeting a nomad Khan to the north, and civilization, no matter how uncivilized, would be welcome right now. We are going to decide to go north. You head north, passing the crucifix you had seen the day before. Another half a day, and you reach a part of the canyon that has a wagon-sized tributary canyon to the west. There are bison tracks that cut deep into the dirt, going and from it. Continue north, or follow the tributary canyon to the west. Well, that's as far as I'm going to go for tonight. This is, again, a choose-your-own-adventure. Use dice rolls to sometimes determine whether or not you succeed or not. Fantastic game by Lee Murphy. He did a fantastic job, put a lot of his heart into this project. I think he's like 8 sales away from silver. So if you want to try this game, give it a try. See how well you did. I did much better than the first time I played. I won't spoil anything, but just know that there are different outcomes based on how these events go. And I dodged a couple bullets from my previous game, so it's already turning into a very different adventure from the first time I played. I think that's it from me. Thank you again. I hope you enjoyed this content. Again, I would pick this book up and give it a try yourself to find out what happens, or maybe you'll get even a different track from me. Alright, that's all she wrote. This is Dustin, signing out.